Yeah, hello. So this is my presentation for the redesign project. I'm doing it on a pig flashlight that we got, and so yeah. So the old design, there's a lot of things I was tired of after just working with it for a few days. So there was misleading packaging. What you would see on the packaging wouldn't really be what you got in the actual product. It was very frustrating. And then cheap materials, it would break in your hand after just a couple minutes of use. Weak lights that you could barely see anything with them, didn't illuminate anything at all. Easily breakable parts goes kind of hand in hand with the cheap materials. You like the switches would just break after just a couple of minutes of use. And then obnoxious noise. So the crank, there's a hand crank. The ratchet was just obnoxiously loud, very frustrating anytime you wanted to use it, especially in your classroom setting, which we were using it in. So then the consumer needs we outlined before we started redesigning was the pig design. Everyone liked that pig design. We asked about other animals as well. They said pig was their favorite. Brighter lights. So everyone said the lights were too weak to see anything at all. Hand crank, they wanted to keep that because everyone liked fidgeting with it, and it was just nice to have a rechargeable light, even if the batteries were not, which was on the packaging. And then comfortable size / shape. So everyone said it fit pretty perfectly in their hand, so they wanted to keep it around the same size, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller, depending on the person. They wanted to be much quieter because it was just incredibly obnoxious to use. And rechargeable, they wanted the batteries to be rechargeable. The LEDs would be powered every time you push the crank, but they wanted the batteries to also be powered a little bit. They wanted better materials so it wouldn't just break after using it, because even in our questioning, it would break in their hands. And then they wanted to keep the two lights in the snout. So our new design is both adaptive and parametric. So what we've kept is the cute pig design that everyone wanted. The simple inner workings is really easy, makes it easier to manufacture and engineer. The hand crank, because everyone liked that. The overall size, we've made it a tiny bit bigger because it was just easier to fit in our hand that way. And then the crank unlock and lock mechanism, because everyone, it was just easy to implement and everyone understood it because it was just very intuitive. And then the low cost. So what we changed is we added higher quality plastics, which is just a few cents more when manufacturing. We've added nearly silent inner workings by changing the ratchet mechanism, which I'll talk about in a little bit. We've included a larger battery, which is also replaceable, because the last ones you could not get out unless you just took apart the whole pig and it was broken at that point. And then brighter lights, which shines up to 500 lumens and can be adjusted with the dimmer switch, which we also added. And then a longer elastic wristband, because the last one, it was just there for decoration. You couldn't even wear it. I can get around through my fingers. So here's the design that we've added. So here you can see we changed the size a little bit. It's still about 4.25 inches, so almost 4 inches, and then long. And then we've made it 2 inches wide. You can see the switches are a ½ inch. And then the dimmer switch here is on top, and the crank log is on the bottom. You can see how this works. So when you push it down, the crank will get released. And then when you squeeze in the crank and then you close it, it'll lock back, obviously. We've made it quieter is we use a ratchetless gear. So it works the same way as a ratchet would, except for it just doesn't use a ratchet. It's pretty cool. We found the design online, and it's pretty neat the way it works. Basically silent, and the loudest part is just this right here, but it's not loud at all. So we've also made it recharge the battery whenever you crank it, as well as power the LEDs. And then the dimmer switch also is pretty cool. So the next you can see, here's the elastic wristband we were talking about. So we made it 5 inches long, and also elastic. So if even if it doesn't fit around your hand at the sides, you can just stretch it a little bit. And then here you can see the little panel you can take out for the battery. This is it with it on. This is it with it off. It fits pretty well within the pig. And then we added and you can just see the crank here. We made the feet a little bit bigger and a little more aesthetically pleasing. Here you can see the box, the design we went for, just pretty simple pig. We took some inspiration from Apple. The way they have their, you can just see it on the top and on the front. And then it just says pretty simply on the side, the pig, so you know what you're getting. And then here you can see the dimmer switch, how you control that, just right here. And then the crank locking switch. And then here's just a side view of the crank when it's closed. And then here's just a better picture of our box design. You can kind of just see, like I said, you get what you see. And then we clearly took inspiration from Apple, and it has a little description of everything in the box on the back. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching.